So, I accidentally found a game-breaking bug while playing this week's boss event, and of course I had to abuse it to get top 1. I'll talk more about the bug when I get to tier 5, since that's when it applies, so if that's all you're here for, skip to this timestamp. In the early game, I defend with NG since I'm going to be building into an NG-gon, and I tried to greet as many farm upgrades as possible without losing lives. Generally, preserving lives in the early game is a bad practice unless you have a late game life payoff like Ezeli's Totem, since spending less money on defense in the early game allows you to spend more money on snowballing farming early, and losing lives in the late game without dying is rare, but these lives will come into play later in the run. I had to micro the targeting on the turrets multiple times in the early game to not lose lives, and I also had to retry some rounds, since the 100 NG spawns an extra turret at the start of the round if you retry, which trivializes some rounds like round 12, where the start of the round is the most difficult. On round 21, I afford my balloon trap, and I'm going to micro the trap every round to get as many balloons in the trap as possible. On round 37, I'll afford my BRF. On round 40, I greed overclock before buying a super monkey for boss damage. This super is going to be a Dark Knight into a Legend of the Night, and is how I plan to kill tiers 1 to tier 3. On tier 1, I try to get as many balloons into the trap as possible, but the Dark Knight will still steal most of the pops. There's not really anything I can do about this, so I just do my best to make as much money from trap as possible. I also target the cleansing foam away from the boss to not be camo it, since the Ultra Vision upgrade gives super monkeys +1 damage to camo balloons. During the tier 1 kill, I always overclock my BRF, except once on round 49, where I'm going to have to overclock my super monkey to not lose to the massive ceramic rush. I afford my big trap on round 50, and I micro the trap and the cleansing foam on top of the portal during the kill to insta-kill balloons as they spawn. On the 4th skull, the portal is out of range of my trap, so I will not make much money on this skull. I target my Dark Knight on strong so that it does not focus the AI balloons and I get as much trap income as possible. Tier 1 is defended on round 59, with only 6 lives lost during the kill, which is extremely good. On round 60, I have around 84,000 cash, which means my eco is on track. I need at least around 80,000 here to afford Legend of the Night for tier 3. I will not micro my Dark Knight early in the tier to deal boss damage, since the damage it will deal is negligible and it will lose a lot of money from the trap. I afford my Banana Central on round 63, then I afford Ultra Boost on round 68, where I stall a BFB to get the cooldown up. After that, I just micro trap to make as much money as possible, while I wait to afford Legend of the Night to beat this tier. I afford Legend of the Night on round 77 and instantly start getting Ultra stacks on it. This will beat the boss as it exits on round 78. Legend of the Night is very overkill for a tier 2 boss, but I've greeted so much farming before getting it, and Phayze is one of the harder bosses to defend. Since I already have 10 Ultra Beast stacks on my farm, I know that I will have enough money for the run, so I Ultra Beast my Legend of the Night through round 79. For tier 3, I ultra boost my Legend of the Night to get as fast of a kill as possible, while trying to get as many pops with the big trap as possible. Getting pops on the big trap isn't a big deal since I'm only going for a degree 20 Enchigon, which I can easily afford early on tier 4 either way. I beat the tier 3 boss on round 96, and after that I alternate ultra boost on the farm and big trap to maximize money. On tier 4, I start by trying to maximize pops on my big trap. On round 103, I will afford my degree 21 Enchigon, and after that the boss kill is free. I actually leaked some DDTs to Legend of the Night's portal once, which just goes to show how brutal this week's 500% move up speed is. And now we're on to tier 5, which is where the bug I found comes into play. And on round 119, I forgot to record. Whoops. At least I have a few other clips of me pulling up this bug. Basically, what I found is that if you leak insides from the second BAD on round 119 into Legend of the Night's black hole, then you lose lives to insides of the third BAD without dying, then the tier 5 boss spawns without a shield and the skulls do nothing. Why does this work? I have no idea, but I think it might be related to the BAD stun bug, which was recently discovered by Edge. I didn't test if this works on other bosses, but I don't see a reason why it wouldn't. I initially thought this bug was triggered by just leaking the last balloon of the round before the boss, but when trying to pull off the bug in this run, I first tried to leak the first BAD to Legend of the Night's black hole since it was more convenient for me, and the bug never worked, which is when I discovered that you need to leak the second BAD specifically to Legend of the Night's black hole for it to work. I tested leaking the last balloon of the round before the boss round for every other boss tier, but I didn't test anything with Legend of the Night since I wasn't aware of it when I was testing, so I'm not sure if this worked on other boss tiers. Also, since we're currently at an awkward time between updates right now, there's a good chance this doesn't get patched until the next major update, which could be in a while. Have fun!